will say the big story for today, and we're looking at the 15 billion naira new residence for the vice president and the Nigerians' reaction to that very proposal, especially as it's a part of the 61.2 billion FCT budget. And while many are saying, does it make any sense in a country that is going through a whole lot with inflation pulled at 2.71% and yet a residence for the vice president? Well, anyway, that's what we're looking at and having as a major discourse. And I see have no other person but Ambassador Raymond Ugbe Orogun. He's a lecturer and also social critic, helping us to look at it in a more critical way and see if it's any need of Nigerians, especially at this time. But anyway, at this time, like I said, we'll need to go on a break now and get a message from our proud sponsors. And we're talking about Beneta Gas that is located right here in Ugeli, Warri and environs. And when we come back, more discussion on the big story for today.
Oh, yeah, follow the road, auto better quality. If you talk gas matter, oh, yeah, follow Beneta. Gas with the better quality. Beneta gas where they full rich man to Beneta gas. Delivery brother na shopali. Beneta gas no mago Beneta gas. Different type of gas cylinder. Beneta gas we go last you well. Beneta gas matter Beneta now do. Beneta gas service in a them they run. Beneta make you carry go.
For gas matter and home delivery, make a wire Beneta gas plant for 080-6745-7890 and 080-5904-7722. Beneta gas plant, the tequile of gas matters.
Well, you do know it really matters if you come over and let's see how we can talk business and bring you on board on the big story, knowing that it's big enough to accommodate all your businesses. But anyway, let's return to the business of the day. We're talking about the 15 billion naira proposed residence for the vice president included in the FCT budget. Well, anyway, the news only came into light last week Wednesday during the budget defense of the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, who said it was embarrassing that after 15 or 13 years rather, that we're not able to complete a 15 billion residence for the vice president. Well, anyway, that's what we're still having. But let me quickly come back to you. Before we went on the break, we were really looking at that very statement and how much of a reaction is coming from Nigerians on account of it. And a follow-up question to that. I'm just really curious. Is there a lack of priority? Because that's what you were kind of giving us, that they seem not to have their priorities right. So, but my question now, is there a lack of priority or a lack of empathy on the part of not knowing that Nigerians, do they need a new residence for one man, looking at the problem almost 133 million persons are going through at the moment? So is there a lack of priority or a lack of empathy?
Michael Ray, these things are obvious, extremely obvious. There is the what do they call them? Is it the prime minister or what of Germany?
Okay, yeah, you're talking about the chancellor.
The chancellor.
Olive Swatch, and the one before was Angela Merkel.
I'm talking about Angela.
Okay.
Have you gone to see the place she lives? There are other national leaders in advanced countries. Have you gone to the places they live, the cars they drive? I understand the high rate of insecurity in our nation compared to theirs.
Yes.
All right? But the margin is just too high. Because we are talking about insensitivity right now and lack of empathy. Then we come back again to our nation. As long as, or as far as I'm concerned, vice president, he has a place where he's living. And I am very sure that that place is comfortable. What kind of house are you going to build with, what do you call it? 15 billion. What kind of house? Let us assume you want to build a smart house. Let us assume you want to build a house that will launch aircraft to the space. What kind of house do you want to build? What kind of house should a man, his wife, his in-laws and maybe his friends live per time. And that is not the only house he has. He has houses all over the nation. So in a time like this, when inflation has eaten us up, when diesel is more than 1,100 naira, when dollar in the black market has risen over 1,000 naira, recently there is our naira depreciated by 80% and some fractions. This is the place we are in a situation where 109 senators and 360 House of Rep members, the 360 House of Rep members just received an SUV, a sport luxury SUV worth 160 million each. Multiply that money by 360, then add 360 to 109, then multiply it by 160 million, then you tell me how much it will be. A country and a situation where our refinery is not functional. A country and a nation where our steel is not functional.
So that made me to ask you, is there lack of priority? Because if we prioritize that, those are the things we would naturally go for.
If you
That's why I'm asking, is there lack of priority or lack of empathy on that side?
If you call it lack of priority and lack of empathy, you are trying to be professional. In fact, it is sheer wickedness. That is the right word. It is sheer wickedness. Even the scripture, let me go spiritual now. A man who knows what to do, and he even scripture, Quran, our traditional settings. A man who knows what to do and refuses to do it. What do we call that man? He's a wicked person. So you are trying to be economical with words. That is why I say wicked people.
I still want to be professional about it.
Exactly.
And I'd rather stick with you calling the National Assembly. We do know that the federal allocation to the National Assembly, and not just them, but judges, the Independent National Electoral Commission, and several other ministries has risen by 39.66% in the 2024 budget to about 1.38 trillion in their spending. And that's if we look at or we analyze the 2024 budget. And not just only that, but we also have governors that are on a spending spree. We saw that recently, especially looking that in the last 6 months, they spent about 1.41 trillion. And we're talking about that 6 governors. Now, but yet we're also being told that the country is going through deep financial mess. So my question is, do Nigerians still believe that we don't have money? Because if we do have money, if we don't have money, a 15 billion naira residence will not be our priority at this time. So why I'm asking that questions, with such spending and such proposed spending coming out to the fold, do Nigerians still believe we do not have money? That's number one. And how much of these would dent the trust Nigeria has in government's ability to be prudent in spending? Because that's the reason we're having this discussion.
Now, let me come from the angle of your question. If Nigerians believe, if we do have money.
Yes.
Now, when a man has money, how do you know? No matter how stingy a man is,
you'll be on the spending spree anyway.
There is money in his pocket. First of all, you will see it on his skin. It will reflect in his skin. It will reflect on his children. Reflect on his wife, mostly his wife. The kind of wig and the kind of things.
That's if he loves her and doesn't have a side.
Yes.
Yeah, but don't mind me.
But now let's look at this scenario now. We don't need to ask if Nigeria has money or not. There are 2 things involved. It is either they have money and they're hiding it from the citizens. Because if you look at the life of the citizens right now, as I'm speaking with you, a civil servant cannot comfortably drive his car to his workplace. A civil servant cannot comfortably buy a bag of rice, good bag of rice without stone to feed his family. A civil servant cannot comfortably buy a loaf of bread which has risen. A good bread now is within the range of 1,300 to 1,500, and you buy that every 3 days. So you see, all these things shows that the citizens are experiencing lack of money from those who are supposed to take care of them. So it's not a question if we believe we don't have money or not. We don't have money. That is on the part of the citizen. But the leaders are telling us, from the way they are spending the money, they are telling us that there is money. Because how can you tell me that you borrow money? Watch this now. How can you tell me that you want to build a house for one man? A house for one man, 15 billion, isn't it? Now, I just made a calculation for you the other time that about 150,000 persons applied for US visa. And the US visa, from the last time I checked, is about $185 that visa application. If you multiply $185 by 150,000 persons, how much is it? It is just a little bit higher than what has been used to build a house for one man. So what does that tell you? That we have money in the sight of the government, and the government don't want to use the money to better the life of the people. Then let's come back again. How do we source for money to finance our budget? My brother, is borrowing. Then if you look at our capital expenditure, then you look at our recurrent expenditure. Let's look at the recurrent expenditure. I am not a trained economist, but I know that servicing of debt should be paying of salaries should be for recurrent.
Recurrent is basically taking about paying for workers and doing all that concerns keeping the government going. Yes, it's recurrent. Why capital is for infrastructures and all. For infrastructure and acquisition of other things. Now let's look at our recurrent, the money, the amount of money we borrowed and the amount of money we are using to service the debt. If you look at even the budget, how many percentage is going for debt repay? It is huge, my brother, more than 30%. Of course. So more than 30% of money we are even expecting is going to go in for debt repay. So all you're saying, you are using the money, that is being borrowed to pursue luxury. Things that will not bring back money. So that means we do not have the money, but we borrow the money. So that means we are still broke. We don't have the money, then we borrow the money. How do you have money? How do you have money? Number one, you borrow it. Number two, you earn it as a salary. Then number three, you make it as a commission. Number three, number three, this is unprofessional. You steal it. We'll not steal the time, because we need to go on a break now. We'll not steal more time on this. We need to go on a break, but when we come back, we'll have our conclusion as it concerns that very proposed building, 15 billion naira proposed building for the second most important person, as they say, in the country, and the vice president, and why Nigerians seems to really be reacting strongly against it, especially looking at the reaction coming from no other but the Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 general election, saying that more sacrifice needs to be done. But it's only right we really emphasize this. We've had leaders, countless leaders in the past that have rather sacrifice such building and would rather put it into the public. And one person, for example, is late Moritala Mohammed. Sure. The 1,004 housing estate in Lagos, the money was meant to build a residence for him, but he rather wished and proposed that it would be used to build a residence for Nigerians. Well, anyway, I just said I should drop that in as a form of history. So we do not feel that all leaders are like that, but we still have, or used to have, and would still have leaders that are really seeking for the good of Nigerians. Let's go on a break.